Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror film from Wales, Welsh language English subs, released in the year 2020, directed by Lee Haven-Jones, and this film is called The Feast. So The Feast is set in the remote countryside in Wales. You have a luxurious home that is owned by a very rich family who are preparing for a dinner to cater for their very influential friends. And so if this dinner goes well, this family might have some business opportunities that are going to be open to them, so they're desperate to impress these people. And so the mother of the family, who is actually heading this party, she actually hires the services of a young lady who is the caterer. So she gets to the home. She's a very strange individual, but the mother doesn't think anything of it. The things that she's concerned about is actually getting food on the table. And so when the night transpires, the friends arrive, they start having dinner, and this is where very strange things start to happen, which makes the mother realise that there was more to this caterer than she first thought, and this actually might be the family's last meal together. So whether or not it's the case, something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Feast. This is a movie that was one of my most anticipated horror films this year. Now it came out in 2020, but it took the longest time to actually finally get a copy of this movie. But I heard about this movie for the longest time. On the festival circuit, there was a lot of buzz behind it, saying it was one of the most provocative films, one of the most extreme horror films. And so that was the reason why it really piqued my interest. And the fact that it was spoken in the Welsh language, never seen a Welsh language film, so that was another reason to really go out there and see it. And when I saw the trailer, I thought this looks like a typical European experience. So there's plenty of incentives to watch the film, and I finally got my chance to see it. I will say that initially I was disappointed with the experience that I got. I feel as though this is a very overrated movie, but that's not saying it was a bad film. You can trick yourself into thinking that an overrated movie is in fact a bad film, but you do set it on a very unrealistic expectation, because the buzz around this movie is definitely the thing that goes against it. You kind of think as though this is a movie that's going to be a lot better than it actually is. So go in there with a lot of skepticism and a lot of caution, and you'll come away with a movie that was incredibly uncomfortable. As far as atmosphere is concerned, this is one of the best films that you will see. Atmosphere really drives this film forward. This is a movie that makes you feel very uncomfortable, because you got the beauty of nature up against the ugliness of humanity. And when these two elements collide, there's a very explosive feeling that provokes an audience into feeling that something is wrong, but you're not quite sure what is wrong. And it's the power of those two elements that make an invisible force that really captures the audience. And I thought as though it was a very claustrophobic feeling and a very otherworldly feeling as well. The dreary landscape that this cinematography produces creates a sense that this is not quite reality, but there's reality within these characters that prevents you from fully disconnecting yourself from what's going on. So the interactions with these characters, I thought they were very, very awkward and very bizarre. So it's a very strange and art house kind of film, but I always felt as though the atmosphere really worked. A very haunting soundtrack contributed to the beautiful, vast landscape. I thought although it was beautiful to look at, something was simmering inside. And so it felt like this is a completely different dimension, and that this home was the force of just an evil presence. But you're not quite sure what that evil presence was, because there's a lot of unanswered questions that maintain your interest from start to finish. They don't answer those questions very quickly, and they answer it to a point where it just sustains that level of interest, and it comes up to a point where you can't take the anticipation anymore. And the goriness that this movie has is that closure to the anticipation. I thought that was actually a very rewarding sense of closure, in that it was just a ticking time bomb. When it explodes, it does go down a very, very dark passage. And I thought the symbolism that this movie had, it is, as I said, humanity and nature, and how they combine, and they don't always get along with each other. And I just thought as though it was a deep and meaningful kind of horror film. And so there were some moments that I thought were really haunting and very riveting. And so as far as interest is concerned, it really capitalizes upon that interest, and I felt as though the director had some sense of control. But that's not saying that the director had complete control. This is a very bland film. Now yes, the bland quality to the movie does make it very unique and very uncomfortable, but unfortunately doesn't make it as memorable as I was actually hoping it would be. Now as I said, the buzz to this movie creates it as a movie that's going to be unforgettable, but there's just too much simplicity to this movie to make it an overly memorable experience. And so you have a sense of art house that does go down into pretentious value, because it's taking way too long to make the point. Now yes, as I said, it's a symbolic film about humanity and nature, and how nature can fight back against humanity, but unfortunately it just takes way too long to get there, and it revels in the unique quality that the movie has. The unique process takes a little bit too long, and it's kind of basking in its glory to a point where you feel as though, alright, you're just showing off now. And so by the end of the film, yes, I had that sense of closure, and I had that sense of goriness and horrific qualities that you would expect from a movie like this, but it was getting to that point where I thought as though, okay, it's kind of halting a little bit. It's stuttering, and it's not getting there as fluently as I really wanted it to. And so the movie does have that art house pretentious quality to it that makes it me believe that it was a movie that wanted to be a lot smarter than it was. Now, yes, it is a smart film, but it kind of reveled in the intelligence a little bit too much to a point where it became a little bit distracting. I thought, okay, you've made your point, now just stop basking in that. And so I thought, all right, well, it's not quite as memorable as it could have been, because the fluency is very, very slow, and so it's not going to appeal to everybody. But if you like your European horror films and atmospheric horror films, then The Feast is definitely one I would suggest. The gore is used very sparingly, but it is very haunting, and so it's a movie that's going to make you think. And I thought the quality, especially with this caterer, I thought she was very unnerving, but again, I didn't know what was the unnerving quality about her. And it's, as I said, it's the atmosphere that creates that sense of doubt. And what you're actually seeing, is it actually a threat, or in fact, is it just the atmosphere playing tricks on your mind? And so psychologically, I thought this was phenomenal, but unfortunately, as I said, it gets lost in its sense of pretentious a little bit too much, and therefore it just becomes a movie that you see once, you're probably not going to want to see again. So come in there with limited expectations, you'll come away with a typical sort of European film, but unfortunately, as I said, it's overrated and nowhere near as good as many people make it out. So overall, for The Feast, going to give this one 3.5 stars. Go into there with limited expectations, and you're probably going to come away fairly impressed. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.